All right, we're doing it live. Welcome to the second Empire League podcast. We're here with my Amish friend, Glenn Martin, Dynasty GM, and our second guest in the Spin Zone, Greg LaBelle. Greg, how you doing?
Good. What's up, guys?
We're just hanging out here in beautiful Newmarket, New Hampshire, living the dream. Boston, right? How's Boston treating you?
Just living in the ghetto, getting by.
That's what I like to hear. So just a few things. This was kind of what we led off on last week in the podcast, and now we have you on, so we got to talk about it. The Jordy trade. Can you walk us through it?
Turned out being trade rape, but in my defense, it was before the Jordy injury, and he was going to be fine. But looking back at DeAndre's explosive week, to say the least, kind of burned me, and I have Mohamed Sanu on my bench. So there's that.
I guess you can go.
The first trade made sense. I mean, depending on what we wanted, because some might argue Jordy Nelson, a healthy Jordy Nelson, would be worth more than a DeAndre Hopkins right now, even though DeAndre Hopkins has a longer future because he's way younger. So that trade, nobody argued. And both it seems like a good trade for both teams since Jeremy was really young. You had some experience with Forte, so you were kind of going for the now. I want to know so you just acquired Jordy Nelson, then you decided to flip him. What happened there? Can you take us through those moments?
Well, I was thinking about it, and I didn't want a 32-year-old Jordy Nelson coming back from an ACL injury. Might not be the same after. You never know. I mean, obviously the training staff over in Green Bay is probably great, but kind of a risky decision.
Hey, I see. I think we all got a little bit of a laugh out of it because you never see Mohamed Sanu go for a player like Jordy Nelson, but you did bring up the fact that he's 32 years old, coming off an ACL injury, and who knows? Maybe we're laughing because Jordy Nelson's never the same. I mean, that could happen, and you did get potentially a solid player, Mohamed Sanu. I mean, he filled in fine when AJ Green was out last year. So, and you got a first-round pick too. People forget that. So, who knows what that could turn into? Maybe the joke's on us. So we'll see.
Nelson.
Yeah, only time will tell with that. We've run in the books. Some crazy things happened. I think we can all agree. Some people exploded. Didn't foresee that happen. How do you feel about your week one, Greg?
I'm a little happy. Shut up the haters a little bit, but
I feel you there. I 100% feel you there.
Still lost. It was a last-second game with the Falcons ending last night.
Yeah, it's a tough one a little bit. DeMarco Murray, that backfield was tough. My week was great. I'm 1-0. I scored the most points this week with Tyler Eifert on my bench. I got a young team. And I'm feeling good. In your face, Luke Mertens, you idiot. And then that kind of is a perfect segue into the matchup of the week, the Ass Master Classic, which was Glenn Martin and Luke Mertens, the self-proclaimed best teams in the league, which, it was the lowest scoring game of the week.
The toilet bowl.
Glenn, how do you feel about your team's performance this week?
I mean, my team lost to Luke's team. It says it all right there. Nobody had a good game. Devontae Adams had a bad game. C.J. Anderson, Demaryius Thomas, A.J. Green dropped a touchdown. My only good player was Ryan the bench in Austin Seferian-Jenkins. And anytime you lose to Luke's team, you just want to off yourself and no, you don't. But it hurts. It hurts a little bit.
Luke has no place bragging this week. I mean, he scored 94 points. Like, give me a break. Like, most of the league would have beaten both of you guys. Which I guess we're we're gonna go into power rankings. We were gonna kind of stray away from this, but after looking at all of our power rankings this time around and seeing how vastly different everything is, guys, we're gonna kind of start at the final power rankings and talk about why we rated certain people in different spots. You good with that, Greg?
Perfect.
Okay, so number 10 this week, dropping a whopping 10 spots from first to last, Dynasty GM, which, you guys, Glenn put himself at 10. Greg, you put him at 10. I had him at 3. I think you guys are literally out of your mind. All right, well, Greg, we'll get an outsider's opinion first because it's your team. Greg, tell us why you have Glenn at 10.
Well, I have Glenn at 10, and I'm not saying he's going to be at the 10 spot all season long. I'm sure it'll all come out on the average, probably 4 or 5 at the end of the season. AJ Green, I have a giant man crush on him. He's going to do great. It's just the rest of his team. There are only 2 players that scored more than 10 points. It's a really rough week.
Yeah.
To say the least, yeah, 2 players only scoring more than 10 points is rough to say the least. Yeah, I have myself at 10 too. Listen, I'm selling on my team right now. AJ Green, Demarius, CJ Anderson, they all gonna go. Anytime you lose to Luke, it's just that's when you know you gotta sell because you're just not at that. It's a classic case of I didn't know who I thought I was, and losing to Luke is just a real reality check for me. So I'm at 10, and I'm selling.
I'll give you Mohamed Sanu for AJ Green.
Throwing a first-round pick, and you got a deal.
All right, so you're both idiots. We'll start off. I have Glenn at number 3. Hear me out. He has Russell Wilson, Eli Manning, both going to have good seasons. Mark Ingram, he showed us what he can do this week. I'm down on CJ Anderson, but you have enough running backs where I can feel confident in your team. And Demaryius Thomas and AJ Green being this bad are fluky.
I disagree.
What?
It's very fluky.
No, it's super fluky. It's super fluky.
God, this is ridiculous. I still like their team at the 3 spot, but you 2 ranking Glenn 10 puts him down at the 10 spot. And number 9 this week, another self-proclaimed best team in the league drops 3 spots from 6 to 9, second to last. Luke Mertens. I feel vindicated. I've been saying this all along. I gave him some charity boost last week. Luke's team is not good. It's not good.
It's not.
Greg, you had him at 6. Glenn, you had him at 9. I put him up a little higher. I put him at 8. But we're all kind of there. Like Glenn, Greg, you have him a little bit middle of the road. Why would you keep him around middle of the road?
Listen, Eddie Lacy, he's going to have a killer season.
He's on Laces Out.
Just kidding. Okay, so yeah. So Peyton, he's not going to get 5 points every week.
Are you kidding me? His head's about to fall off.
Yeah, but he'll get 15 points.
I think that's a stretch. I think Peyton is done. He has a scar on the back of his neck.
Peyton is not done.
Are you kidding me?
His fingertips.
He has a scar on his foot now. Is Des Bryant done?
Des Bryant's not 40 years old.
Peyton Manning's fine.
The guy can't feel his fingertips.
Did you watch that game?
No.
Did you watch it? Peyton Manning threw the ball with zip. He threw the ball with zip. He had a tough matchup. The timing was still off. Emmanuel Sanders had a chance at 2 deep shots for touchdowns. And listen, Luke's team sucks as much as the next team, but Peyton Manning isn't done. Yeah, and it's still not going to save Luke's team.
Greg?
But Jamal Charles also is going to go off the rest of the season. regardless.
Ooh, that guy's made of glass.
Another old guy. I'm just not a believer in Luke. I've been like that from the start.
Yeah,
It's gonna
Sean
suck.
Jackson's a bust.
I'll say anyway. So yeah, Luke dropping 3 spots from 6 to 9.
Talk about a fluky game when we talk about Luke's game. Alfred Morris was a fluke. Matt Jones comes in. He's starting by week 4. That's my bold prediction of the week.
Give me a break.
Matt Jones is coming in hot.
Put it on the board.
All right, I guess that's our first bold prediction. My bold prediction is Luke doesn't want a goddamn game after this. I was gonna say he'd win no games, but he already won one. Although I don't really count it. So then at number 8, we have Hags dropping 4 spots from 4 to 8. I had Hags at 5. You guys both had Greg. You had him at 8. You had him at 7. You guys have him as a bottom feeder. I have him as middle of the road. What gives?
Andre Johnson's old. I called it from the start, trading John Brown for Andre Johnson. Does that look dumb now? You guys, and remember how we talked about Larry Fitzgerald losing 6 steps? It definitely looks like Andre Johnson has lost 8 steps, and he's starting both of them in his lineup. He's got, Brandon Marshalls and Darren Sproles on the bench, but is Hags going to start him? Nah, so he stays at number 7.
Listen, Andre Johnson, he was never a speed guy. He was always catching him in traffic. He'll come around, especially with Andrew Luck, but still not buying him over Ty.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not. I wouldn't question that. I think Andre Johnson is going to give him a little bit of production. Calvin's going to be back. I put him around middle of the road. AP had a rough game. I don't know where that'll end up. And, he still has a gaping hole at RB2. He has Yeldon now. I gave him Perriman and Yeldon for Amari Cooper straight up. Pretty happy about that. But
It's like stealing candy.
Yep. So Hags dropping 4 to number 8. At number 7 this week, we have our man in the spin zone. Are you ready, Greg? 7. Mike Vick in a box. Glenn has you at 8. I have you at 6. You have yourself at 5. I kind of see you as middle of the road. Glenn puts you a little bit further back. Glenn, why do you put him back as a bottom feeder still?
Well, I put him back in the bottom feeder just he definitely bumped up from the 10th spot. I don't see Lamar Miller. Like I said, we talked about it on podcast 1. I see Lamar Miller having a huge bounce back week next week. And I still have him as a bottom feeder. I don't think Julian Edelman is going to turn out to be as productive as he was week 1. Marcus Colston is worse than Andre Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald. That talk about a guy that's getting way over the hill there. And Roddy White is just not a sustainable fantasy starter. So I have you at number 8 still. It's a really competitive league. Maybe when Julius Thomas comes back, you do a little more damage and can jump a spot or 2.
I just want to chime in real quick before I let Greg defend his honor. Julian Edelman is a great PPR wide receiver. We have a Cowboys fan
PPR
over here. Half PPR, he put up what?
He's going to be half as good.
10 points.
That makes no sense whatsoever. So if he was full PPR, he would be full good?
Yeah, he would be full Julian Edelman wide receiver 2 good in full PPR.
Give me a break.
He's a wide receiver 2.
Greg, let's hear it.
Julian Edelman is a god among men. He marches down the field. He might not get the touchdowns because Broncos getting all of them. But, Lamar Miller, again, he had a very bad week, very underperforming, but I think he's going to improve. And again, the Texans defense only getting 2 points. J.J. Watt himself is going to get 6 points next week.
He's going to be catching touchdowns as a tight end for you. So that was a smart pick. You have J.J. Watt on your team. I didn't take that into consideration. Maybe I'll bump him up to 7.
All right. So Greg at 7, jumping up 3 spots. You kind of, you're inching your way up there.
We call it a comeback.
Yep. So only go up from here, my friend. At 6, this is definitely one of the more interesting ones here because I was gushing about his team last week. Is Super Warms Griffin jumps back one spot from 5 to 6, but there's a lot of the where we rank him varies. So I have Griffin at 9. Greg, you have him at 7. Glenn has him at 3. This is another case of, us being vastly different. I'm going to start with you again, Glenn.
Griffin's my number team 3. Griffin, he's my number team 3. And I'm sticking with it. I've said it from the start. Alshon Jeffrey was playing hurt. Sammy Watkins put up a dud. That won't happen. He laid an egg. What are the odds on a night when or an afternoon when they should have been throwing? You'd think they'd be down against the Colts, but they weren't. So Sammy Watkins are going to come around. Alshon Jeffrey is going to come around. He's going to pick up steam, be a lot healthier, a lot more effective, and Odell Beckham is going to have a bounce back week. He was held in check. So I still have him number 3. He's got the scariest bottom 4 in the league. Amir Abdullah looks good, and Aaron Foster's coming back.
Arian Foster is made out of glass as well. I'm gonna, he has 3 Texans running backs. I know I keep going back to that. Abdullah's not going to be getting the touches that he needs. And listen, people know I love Sammy Watkins. He's unbelievably talented.
Is he strong?
He's very strong. With that offense, I just don't know if you can trust him this year. I mean, they showed that they're going to spread the ball out. OBJ could be in for a sophomore slump. Alshon Jeffrey already has a nagging injury coming in. Kelsey looks great. I'll give him that. We'll see how Frank Gore ends up at this point.
Why would you think OBJ has a sophomore slump?
Look at him last week.
Yeah, he was blanketed by the Cowboys.
Greg, let's go. Cowboys suck.
Odell Beckham, he just doesn't have the track record for me to say that he's going to be an incredible player in this league long term. He certainly has the potential. He's got the talent. But it's just I don't know if he's going to be very good this year.
Where's the doubt come from? What is he showing you to even spur any doubt?
He plays on the Giants.
Yeah, it didn't stop him last year.
People didn't know how to cover him yet. Things changed from freshman to sophomore season. Sophomore slump coming up.
Victor Cruz wasn't back. He's getting all the throws. Frank Gore, he's older, but he hasn't died yet.
Yeah, how is he still in the NFL? I don't understand.
He's a zombie.
Yeah, I wouldn't write Frank Gore off just yet because people were high on him, and I could still turn it around. So we'll see.
I love him, but Kelsey, Sammy Watkins. I'm not sure if he'll get enough opportunities here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Griffin's gonna have a few things to say about us moving him down to 6 from 5, but I think he's going to be more angry about the fact that, 2 people on the show are very low on his team. And I just think with some of his depth problems, and plus Griffin at this point, he has that Griffin Nuttall syndrome when he starts, he puts people on the bench that score more points than his starters.
Bishop Sankey.
Bishop Sankey.
That was a bonehead move, benching Bishop Sankey for week 1. Unbelievable.
What?
I had you as my number 3. How could you not see Bishop Sankey going?
You can't even take yourself seriously on this.
No, I can't.
So Griffin, you're only down 1 spot, but I think you're in for a rough year now. We'll see what happens.
He's always got Jameis Winston.
Number 5, jumping up 3 spots from 8 to. Did I do my math? 8 to 5. That's 3, right? Anyways,
That's 3 spots.
Feed me more. PJ jumping up to number 5. I had PJ at 10. I'm not a believer. Greg had him at 3.
We gotta go to Greg first.
Glenn has him at 6, middle of the road. Greg, let's hear it.
Gronk, like
It's one player.
all of the touchdowns.
Every week?
Every week, all of them.
He's 40.
Yeah.
Freaking Brian Barry texts me, like, I think after the game on Thursday, goes, PJ's a genius for taking Gronk number 1, which, I mean, it's not a perfect pick, but he's like, Gronk's on track for 48 touchdowns. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure he'll get 13.
Well, I mean, nobody can cover him, regardless of who we're playing. He's going to get 3 looks in the red zone every week, at least.
I mean, Gronk's a great player. I think he's going to be a huge fantasy producer this week. I put him at 10 because I just think he has massive problems outside of that. I mean,
What's
up?
Well said at running back.
I mean, he has at wide receiver 2. He has Marcus Wheaton, which I gave him for a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, he's stacking Ben Roethlisberger and Marcus Wheaton. He's stacking.
I am not a believer in LaShawn McCoy this year. I think he's done. It's a power running game. Marshawn Lynch, he'll be okay. Jeremy Maclin is in Kansas City. I mean, I don't know what his contract is, but I'm sure he won't catch a touchdown for the entirety of it.
That's insane.
He has LeGarrette Blount, McFadden, Kelvin Benjamin, Victor Cruz. I mean, his team's terrible. His team is awful. Like, number 3 might be the most outrageous ranking of this entire podcast so far.
I stand.
Yeah, I still want to hear it, Greg.
I mean, he's got like the running backs. He's got Lynch and McCoy. I think they're both going to have crazy seasons.
I can't get past. He's starting Marcus Wheaton as his number 2. Maybe Marcus Wheaton does a little bit more at the number 2 spot than he did last year, but he's had ample opportunity and hasn't produced. Maclin, dude, like I said, he'll be lucky if he gets 6 touchdowns as projected. Probably more around 4 or 5.
If that.
And yeah, I don't know. LaShawn McCoy actually surprised me. I thought he would look better, but Carlos Williams came in and stole. It basically was a vulture. Carlos Williams got to share looks and ended up scoring the touchdowns. So who knows what's going to go on with LaShawn McCoy?
Yeah,
so I see a lot of question marks there.
Even Eric Decker, he actually looked pretty good in the Jets.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick, the guy, he can play a little.
Yeah, well, I mean, dink and dunk. Jets are going to lose to the Pats. Bill Belichick's going to shut them down. Patriots 16-0. We're in for a good season.
We're going to lose next week.
No.
Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. Are you kidding me? Okay, all right. We're saving this for the end of the podcast. If you still want.
We're not getting.
So where were we? Number 5. Number 4 making a big jump this week to up 3 spots. Number 7 last week. Number 4 this week. Laces out. Brian Barry. I had Brian at number 2. Greg, you had him at 9. Once again, we're polar opposites here. And Glenn had him 4, so he has him as another top team. I'll get us started on this one. I mean, I'm going to run through a few things. Brian has, a rock-solid 2 starting running backs. I mean, look at Carlos Hyde. I think we saw what he can do last night. 31.2 points. The guy looked like a beast. He was finishing runs. Eddie Lacy is Eddie Lacy. Emmanuel Sanders. Randall Cobb is going to have a great year. He has Jordan Reed. Golden Tate is not going to be not productive. But if you look at his running backs, he has Tevin Coleman, Jonathan Stewart, both had half-decent days. Coleman showed some promise, and I think he has some decent wide receivers. So I had him at 2. Greg, why 9? Let's hear why number 9.
Well, I think Hyde, that was a little fluky.
Did you see the way he played?
He looked good.
Yeah, I mean, we do that every week.
I think. I mean,
Hard to argue with that. Putting up 10 points every week.
He's not going to be putting up 30 points every week, but I think he will be a consistent running back 1 at this point. I'll go on record saying this. I was arguing with Brian the whole time saying Carlos Hyde's going to be a bust, and I got a text from Brian at about 6 o'clock this morning telling me to suck his balls. And he's right. I mean, I was wrong. He looked like a monster. Yeah, what else? Let's hear some of your other thoughts.
You're playing against Minnesota. Any half-decent defense is just going to stack the box against San Francisco. They have no receivers. And then again, the Seahawks defense getting 19 points, a little much. So I mean, I think there's a high floor but a lower ceiling.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sold on Hyde. I'm going to see what he does against the Seahawks, too. Definitely had an excellent week, and he did look good. I'll agree with Jeremy. So, I guess I was a little low on him. I still think that team is going to be pretty bad. I don't know if it was the week 1 jitters. Did you guys catch that game at all? It was ugly. It was very ugly. Not a well-played ball game. So I'd like to see more of it pan out. And I'm not sold on the 49ers yet, and I'm not sold on Carlos Hyde, although I do think he looked better.
You'd think you'd be sold on someone that cost you how much money in DraftKings?
As part of the Millionaire Maker, I finished 12,249th out of 520,400 people over this weekend in the Millionaire Maker. I won $50, and Carlos Hyde won somebody $2 million. So hey, he's a $2 million player for Balla. Balla was the guy who won.
I'm gonna go on and manually change your team name to the Roster Baiter because you literally gush about yourself more than anybody on the planet.
I beat 500,000 people in DraftKings last night. That's hold on, we're looking this up, dude. That's
all right. This isn't the DraftKings podcast. This is the Empire League podcast. Shut up! Don't want to hear about it. I think. I'm personally high on Brian's team. You can make a valid argument to be low. So I don't necessarily think it's outrageous. I'm a believer in laces out. Number 3, number 3 stayed exactly the same this week. Mr. Consistency, Mark Goodwin. I had him at 7. I kind of have him towards the bottom at this point. Greg, you have him at 4. You have him top, middle of the road. Glenn has him at 2. I'm going to get started again because, God damn it, this is my podcast. I think the SpongeBob video says everything that you need to say about his team. It's made of glass. I mean, this team scares the crap out of me. Tony Romo, he can be clutch sometimes, but he's soft. DeMarco Murray, his injury history tells you everything you need to know. Andre Ellington already hurt his PCL. Des Bryant broke a bone in his foot. Brandon Cooks is unproven. Kobe Fleener is not even the top tight end of Indy. Chris Ivory was a fluke because that offensive line is not good anymore. What? I could go on about why I'm putting Mark down to 7. Should have put him lower. Number 2.
Oh, this hurts.
Glenn, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
He's got to be number 2. He's got to be number 2.
That's ridiculous.
He's not. DeMarco Murray, you could argue he's the toughest running back in the league. The guy has taken so much hits. He bounces off tackles. He breaks a million tackles. Probably takes more hits than any running back in the league. He's still going. Chris Ivory is not a fluke. That guy is talented.
He's been around for like 5 years, and he's been mediocre with good games sprinkled
He
in.
hasn't been mediocre. He's a bruiser. He finishes games strong. And Chris Ivory is going to be just fine. Maybe don't start him every week, but Chris Ivory's an excellent start. You just got to pick his matchups. He'll beat up on a soft defense like Indianapolis every time. Mike Evans is getting healthy. Brandon Cooks is going off this week. Don't expect that was talk about fluky games. Brandon Cooks is an absolute stud. I don't love Zach Ertz, but I do like.
All right, I've had enough. Shut up, Glenn. Greg.
I believe in Chris Ivory. He's going to do big things. And I mean, I put myself at 5, so I had to put Mark above me because he beat me.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, the Dez injury, I would have put Mark higher, but that's kind of big.
Yeah, that's true, and I think Mike Evans is also going to be an unbelievable talent. But I think he's going to have some drop in production with the Jameis Winston growing pains. I mean, he looked awful against the Tennessee Titans defense. Not to mention he has another nagging injury. I just think, I mean, honestly, looking at it, I probably could have ranked him lower, but I don't feel like doing the math at this point. Chris Sims, Melvin Gordon, I think is going to be a bust. Yeah. Any more last minute thoughts, you guys? Make it quick.
Dez Bryant's coming back.
Dez Bryant's touchdown dependent. Greg?
Nope. That's it.
Okay. By the way, I love the don't tread on.
Do this for a living.
You know.
I'm the next Skip Bayless. What can I say? Where were we? Okay. Mark number 3. And at number 2 this week, jumping up a whopping 7 points.
Places.
The commissioner of this fine league, Roger Goodell, my team. I think it's great. I try to be. I'm a good guy. I try to be humble. Put myself at 4. Glenn put me at 5. Greg put me at 2. I mean, I just want to hear you guys gush about my team for a little bit. So go ahead.
So,
Yeah.
speak about talking about themselves all the time. I mean, you have a pretty good team. Julio is going to go off this year. I mean, you're not going to be number 2 every week. So I do think you have a lot of young players.
I can also be number 1. So
Yeah, especially with DeAndre.
yeah. Good trade by me.
Yeah. Pretty good.
All right, Glenn. Let's hear some of your thoughts on my team. You had me at number 5. I thought that was a little low. I was just trying to be humble.
What do you thought it was number 5 was generous.
Are you kidding me?
You're starting Dion Lewis and Benny Cunningham. Dion Lewis, you might start next week. He might not even play. That's Bill Belichick. That is the Patriots' backfield. Benny Cunningham is not a starter. He's getting out of here. Amari Cooper, big question mark. You could argue. I mean, the talent's obviously there, but let's wait and see it first. Yeah, I mean, Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Phillip Rivers, Cam Newton's all studs. You're okay. You're deep. You're missing running backs.
With my what's up?
They're coming back, though, with Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be plugging in CJ Spiller, but with my elite wide receiving core, I don't really, I don't need top-notch production out of those guys. But, I mean, just the nail in the coffin here. Like, number 2 is perfect. Week 3, week 4, I mean, it's like winter Game of Thrones. Todd Gurley is coming. Like, you guys can sit there and shit on him all you want. He's the best prospect since Adrian Peterson. And I have people that I can plug and play at RB2. I have the top 2 running back rookies in this class. My team is young. Be careful, guys. I mean, I could win this.
Look at the kid who
I mean,
he ranked himself last week, if I recall correctly.
It's all about lulling your opponents to sleep. Hags don't know what hit him. I scored the most points. I beat him by like 50-something. I mean, I just absolutely threw him in the dumpster, tossed him out of the club.
Trey Murphy's coming back.
Yeah, Trey Mason. I can plug him until Gurley, and then I'm sure I'll just have some more next level thinking with running backs on the waiver wire. I mean, look what I did this week. 28 points from 2 running back threes. I mean, don't doubt me. Don't doubt me. Luke can sit there and say all he wants. Look at the power rankings. He's at 9. I'm at 2. I still want Mertens. He's afraid. He's afraid because he knew I would tear him apart this week. He knew I was coming for him. You guys are starting to see it. People came after me. It's all over from here. It's all over.
I traded with the devil.
All right, let's go to number 1. I mean, for being real, I had Jared at number 1. I'm gonna keep him there. You know, some of his depth. I mean, we all picked him number 1. There's not much to say. I mean, who wants to talk about Jared's team? Just say aye.
He's flat out number 1. That's all you need to say.
For now.
For now. So I beat him.
Greg,
Coming up.
thoughts?
Tom Brady gonna play like his head's cut off all year.
Like it's cut off?
That's not a phrase.
I made that up.
He's gonna set the league on fire this year. Martellus
Can't wait.
gonna have
Can't wait.
T.Y. Hilton, since Andre Johnson isn't gonna be playing well at all this season. He's gonna get all the looks, getting a lot of touchdowns. Andrew Luck's gonna be way better. And I think Forsett this week was a little fluky. He's gonna be better. And Jeremy Hill, I have a giant crush on the Cincinnati offense for some absurd reason. So
I'm with you. I never really liked Cincinnati. I was like, yeah, the Bengals. I knew them for their defense. This year, I really like their offense. Well, I like 3 offensive players, but I like those 3 players a lot.
I just like to digress on one point. You know, T.Y. Hilton's going to have a good year. Andrew Luck's going to be tossing the ball around. Still don't think it makes Andre Johnson bad. I'm with Andre Johnson all the way. I just want to read it at that point.
And Moncrief had 11 targets. How do you argue against that? He's the number 2. It's not even Andre Johnson.
It's a week-to-week game. They'll work him in. He's a good player. I just like to point out another thing. Can we talk about how you know, a lot of Jared's team is my cast-offs. I mean, he has Roy Halou. You know, I dropped him. I mean, I've gotten some studs for these guys, moving these guys around, so I'll take it. Roy Halou, drafted him, got shit for that. Jerick McKinnon, got a ton of crap for that, picked him up. He also has Max Williams, picked him in the last round. Everybody was like, who's that? I wanted to make room for some players that, you know, I'm kind of seeing going, you know, a little bit better. And the ultimate Roger Goodell alumni, Jordy Nelson, on the IR squad. I mean, I still think he's a scary team, but I just like to say you're welcome. Look forward to battling with you over the coming years. You're number 1, Jared. Congrats.
At least
Yeah,
power rankings.
Yeah, the power rankings, I mean, it's going to be controversial this week. I'm hoping to see some people, you know, argue because, you know, some of them would be right. We agree with some, we agree with, you know, some not. So anyways, next segment, I'd like to keep this one a little more quick. We spent most of our time on the power rankings. We're going to go to Pick'ems. So number 1 this week, first matchup, our matchup of the week, we have Made Out of Glass Moneyball, who is number 2 on our power rankings, going up against Ray Finkel, Laces Out, Brian Barry. Greg, you start. Who do you got?
I got Mark.
You got Mark this week. Glenn?
It's tough. Boy, I gotta give this slight edge to Mark this week as well.
I'm going Brian Barry. Laces Out. He's gonna take it. I'm not gonna lie. This is my lock. Brian's gonna win. Eddie Lacy, Randall Cobb, Carlos Hyde, great team. I'm getting pretty high on Laces Out, number 2 on my power rankings right now. So you two
are going with Mark. I'm going with Brian. Quick thoughts?
Yeah, I can't believe you made it your lock. I just think that Brian's players have a way better matchup. Eddie Lacy playing against Seattle. Like I said, I want to see another game or two out of Collis High playing a tougher Pittsburgh defense. Randall Cobb playing Seattle too. Jordan Reed against St. Louis. Mike Wallace, is he a deep threat? You don't really know. He's not really a consistent player. I really like Brandon Cooks, DeMarco Murray. Chris Ivory, I already talked about it, going against the soft Indianapolis defense. And I just think there's a few players on Mark's team definitely in for a big game, while Laces Out has a little bit of a tougher schedule.
I said quick thoughts.
They're as quick as I can make it. I'm talking fast.
Craig?
I agree. Nick Foles, I don't like him at all. I don't think he's going to do very well this year. Eddie Lacy's good, but Hyde, I'm not very high on him. And Chris Ivory is the real deal.
Nick Foles is like practiced on all Madden though against the Seattle defense. He's going against Washington now on like super easy. You don't think that carries over a little bit?
The week D, but
He's going from all Madden to easy mode. I see Nick Foles doing okay this week.
he ain't playing for Chip Kelly anymore.
And not when you're talking about Seattle's defense versus Washington's defense.
It's the NFL. Game plans change. We'll see what happens. So, more luck. Brian over Mark. Let's go to matchup number 2. We got me, Roger Goodell, versus Feed Me More, Big Dick Russo. Let's go with Glenn this time. Glenn, who do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to go with TJ in an upset this week. I don't know what you're doing at running back, so I'm just going to take Roethlisberger, LaShawn McCoy, Marshawn Lynch, and Gronk over your team.
I think we all know who I'm going with.
Yeah,
I'll figure running back out. You just wait. I don't want to give anything away.
I'm picking them all up off the waiver wire.
You only have 2 waiver wire moves a week, you idiot.
I'm picking up 2.
I'll take them off.
I heard the commissioner picking up 2.
I'm the commissioner. I have the pieces that I need at running back. I don't want to give anything away. But I will be winning. That's my second mortal lock of the week.
I'm going with TJ because
God.
Goodell. I mean, he's got Gronk. He's getting all the touchdowns, all of them. Eric Decker actually looked pretty good, I think. I think he's going to have a big game. And then, what more you got?
All right. Well, I can't wait to rub that one in your guys' face. We got another matchup, a pretty intriguing one. We got 1 and 2 from last week. We have White Zinfandel, Jared versus Dynasty GM, Glenn. I got Jared number 1, but I think your team's going to be a little up and down this year. I'm taking Glenn. There's no way Demaryius Thomas and AJ Green have 2 bad weeks. CJ Anderson, he'll score you a couple points. Mark Ingram, and Jared's team is the best, but I just I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Third mortal lock of the week, Glenn.
Some mortal locks.
I'm going to have to go a slight edge to Jared. I hate saying that because I want AJ Green to get 7 touchdowns. But, got Brady. He's going to be angry playing the Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got me. I got me this week. I got Terrence Williams taking advantage of the Dez Bryant injury. And there's just absolutely no chance that AJ Green and Demaryius Thomas and CJ Anderson played that bad 2 weeks in a row. It's got to happen. If I go 0-2, I might. I don't know what I would do, but I'd be panicking.
All right, so we'll see what happens there. Let's go to our 4th matchup. We have Greg, it's you. Mike Vick in a box versus Superworms Griffin, the Battle of Christensen. I Let's see what you think's gonna happen to your team this week. Let's go.
I'm going to win, naturally, because Andrew Luck can't be that bad again. He's going to be better. Matt Forte, Lamar Miller is going to not underperform. He's going to have a big game. And Gostkowski will get me more than 4 points.
Yeah, that's another value pick right there. Gostkowski in the 8th round of the startup. So hopefully that pays off. It's a bold move, Cotton. Glenn?
Yeah, you're getting creamed. Sorry, Greg.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, you're getting creamed. I got Super Wars.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Greg. I'm going with you as well.
Yeah.
Edelman. I mean, the Patriots are gonna put the Bills in their place. You know, they've gotten plenty of bulletin board material. Bill Belichick, you know, takes away the best players. Sammy Watkins going to be taken out of the game. OBJ, Alshon Jeffrey's going to get, you know, going up against Patrick Peterson. Frank Gore going up against that Jets. I'm going Greg this week. And last matchup of the week. Another pretty interesting one. We got Haters Castellanos. True that. Ryan Haggerty with his band of old men, and Bass to Mouth with his gang of retards. I'm just kidding. His gang of not good players, besides Antonio Brown. Who went last?
You did.
Oh yeah, so it's no, Glenn, it's you. Pick.
Yeah. I got I'm gonna go with Hags this week. Hags in a rebound win. To just clear the superior team. If you lose the Bass to Mouth, you're doing something wrong.
I'm picking Hags, Greg.
Hags.
All right, pretty unanimous. I think that'll be my 4th mortal lock of the week. I'll have 4 out of 5 as mortal locks. We should start like a betting line. What do you guys think?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'll need to take half the money for startup costs. But yeah, no, look for your Empire League, Empire Kings. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much all we have for the second podcast. Greg, what'd you think?
Loved it. Let's do it again.
Do you recommend other people coming on the Spin Zone?
Absolutely. Everybody should be on it. We're going to be internet famous.
We're going to take the internet by storm. We could get our own reality TV show.
I think so.
We'd have to prepare a little more, I think. But, yeah, we can do it. Hey, and also, yeah, I want to mention, we want to get you all involved in the Spin Zone. So we're looking for new ideas, new content. We want to keep it fresh. So DM us questions that you want answered on the podcast every week on Facebook. We're all friends here. DM us content ideas. Tell us we suck. You know, whatever. We'd like to address it on the podcast. And yeah, we want to have everybody on. So
yeah, I mean, like, DM us anything. I mean, like, if you guys have like a funny question, or I mean, literally anything, just send us anything that comes to your mind.
send us a joke.
If we think we can do something with it, we'll try. I mean, we'll see. Like, yeah, I wanted to do the like calling someone out, but Luke's a pussy, knew he was gonna get destroyed, so he chickened out this week. But Greg, you've been great. I thought you kind of deserved it. We went pretty hard after you at the beginning of the last podcast. I felt
It's too easy with the Jordan train.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think, you know, it's a long season. You know, I'm open to all trades. Send me anything, anyone in the league. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap us up. Hopefully we can upload this audio and / video. It'll be on YouTube, I think, right?
Yeah, the video is going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on my channel. I have nothing on my channel. This is the first thing I've ever put on YouTube. Pretty gay. And then what else? The audio, same deal. I'm going to get the audio. We're going to put it up on the Facebook page. We're going to figure out something better than Google Drive, so hopefully you can access it from your iPhone, and that's it.
All right. Greg, thank you for being on this week. Glenn, always a pleasure.
from the bustling streets of Newmarket, New Hampshire, this is the Empire Podcast signing off.
Later.